on the allotment today. It's a little bit squidgy, but you've got to get on it sometime, and today's as good a time as any. What I'm going to talk about today is forks. Now, I've got two forks here. Spot the difference. Now, quite often you'll see in old garden books they'll say it's a lady's fork or a man's fork. Terribly sexist, but the reason they do that is because it's the size. Basically, if you're tall, you want a fork with a long handle to keep it comfortable, stop your back aching. If you're not so tall, then you want a fork with a shorter handle, and that's all it's about. Sometimes the tines are a little wider with the big forks. This is what we used to call in the old days a gasboard fork, which is just a big fork for digging and general digging holes in the road. I use it, but it's a lot heavier than this. But I have this, and it needs to go, so a bit more heavy work wouldn't exactly hurt me, would it? So anyway, we're going to have a look at this one to start with. Now this is my plot, and it's the middle of winter. It's just early January. Basically, what I want to do is dig out my perennial rooted weeds. This makes my digging over a lot easier, and I can blitz through it. So I've got things like this, which is a dock. Remember the things for stinging nettles? Very useful then, not very useful when they're in the middle of your carrots. The reason I'm using a fork, not a spade, is because I want to get most of the roots up. There you go. Oh, look at them. Evil things they are. Very difficult to get rid of. You let them go to seed and you'll have them everywhere. And that's a dock. That wants to come out. You've got these. Always you can see these long stringy spaghetti like roots. Creeping buttercup, another perennial one that's got to come out. Some of them you won't see, some of them you will. This one's one of the euphorbias that seems to have naturalised itself on my allotment. Don't want that either. Want them out. And I work my way around the plot, taking out all the perennial weeds. Now, some of them you're not going to see, like the bindweeds, because they're all off to the ground. You can dig them out when it comes time to dig your allotment. However, this time of year it's harder to see them. So, I'm going to work my way around here. I've also got a certain amount of blackberries. Each year I dig them up and I leave a little bit of the root left in the soil by accident, and they grow back again. Plus they're very deep rooted. It's another thing I've got to dig up as well. Now we've had a little bit of frost so far, not too much. So if I'm digging this up, you can probably see. And it's last year's gladioli. Now, getting a little bit closer on this one, camera girl. And you can see it looks roughly heart-shaped, doesn't it? That's because that's the old sprout from last year, and these are going to be next year's, and you can see there's possibly 3 corms on that. That's 3 flower shoots I might get out of my gladioli. So I'm going to dig these up. Not so keen on the flowers we got on the gladioli. They seem to be not the fancy ones. I've bought some cheap ones this time of year, bulbs, and I've had some really great colours on them. Just Wilkinson specials, nothing too expensive. They're really worth it for cheering she who must be obeyed up when you've got some great flower spikes on them. A few of them on the living room table, and she does the Edna Beveridges, and oh, they're really good. They're like shooting stars. If not, you can always put them in the front garden, but don't leave them in over winter. They get munched by all sorts of things, and they don't like frosting. We've had a bit of frost so far, down to about -3. That's okay for gladioli. When it gets down to about -10, you lose the lot. So it's time to dig them up, put them in the shed and put them in next year. As you can see, the allotment is somewhat dilapidated this time of year. Our rhubarb Ron next door, he's done fantastic on his. He's been digging it every day. I've been lazy. Go along here, you. Go on, keep up. Here they are. Balls of fire. Frosted Brussels sprouts. Now, thing about Brussels sprouts is you can see in my cage there, it's all full of Brussels sprouts. Aren't they lovely? No, they are not. They're awful. But she who must be obeyed loves them. They will sit all winter like that usually, but some never do. Some Brussels sprouts never work. And here's one that's not working. All loose rosettes and everything. That's just rabbit food. So go through. If you're buying cheap Brussels sprout seeds or cheap plants, you're quite likely to have quite a few failures. Don't worry about it. It all comes around in the end, and you don't pay much for the seeds. But if you buy F1 hybrids, you probably get about 20 in a packet, and you'll have a bigger ratio of good Brussels sprouts. This is a mixture of both. There they are. Hope she enjoys them, because I don't. Do you enjoy them, camera girl?
No.
No, no. Does anybody really like them apart from my missus? I really don't know. Anyway, it's me down the allotment, having a bit of a tidy up. Saying goodbye for now. Bye.